something, I guess, to the extent there's choosing sides, I guess I don't really have a dog in this fight. I think that this is a reasonable undertaking to have this 120-day period to allow ride sharing to find it, either prove itself or fail. And I do worry about impacts. In fact, if I had to choose a side, I'd probably side more with taxi cab companies and drivers, just because you've got a lot more color and character than I've seen so far. And I've always found that to be the case. So I have a lot of empathy for the taxi cab industry, but I also appreciate the points Commissioner Novick and Mayor Hales have made, that the case for heavy regulation in the light of sort of the changing economy, the changing preferences of Portlanders for how they want to get around from point A to point B. There's a lot more choices now, and people want those choices. And I believe, while I do have concerns about, nobody's answered nobody's assured me this won't be a race to the bottom in terms of wages for drivers. And I think that that's something we're just going to have to find out in the ensuing 120 days. And I guess, I feel that we're on pretty solid ground as a city, that we have legal authority to permit and govern the operation just as we do with cab companies of TNCs. And so to the extent there's a fear the genie can't be put in back in the bottle, I think we're on pretty solid ground if in fact that turns out to be the direction we need to head into. But I don't know that answer, and that's why I'm prepared to support undertaking this 120-day experiment that Commissioner Novick and Mayor Hales have worked hard on, and I think it's something that we'll see. And I will certainly not be shy in speaking up if I feel that there are things that need to be corrected as we learn through this 120-day period of experimentation. And
how much does it cost to buy a mayor? Hey, folks.
I'm an old-fashioned. Like Commissioner Fritz, I am unlikely to ever take one of these so-called ride-sharing rides. Heck, I still haven't gotten over the adoption of the designated hitter by the American League in 1973. I don't like Uber. I appreciate that they've been behaving themselves a bit lately, but until they fired the guy who said that he wanted to create a slush fund to blackmail journalists, I'm going to keep on saying I don't like Uber. But we're not voting today on whether we like Uber. We're voting on whether to allow a particular business model to operate, which is a different question. If Uber or Lyft or anybody else or any taxi companies break the law, then I have no problem going after them to enforce the law. Just like I had no problem going after Uber in December and fining them, and they paid the fines. I know that people have concerns about letting this business model in.
Can you do
But there's a couple of points that I think people need to know. As to background checks, we asked Police Chief Larry O'Day if he was satisfied with the third-party background check procedures, and he said he was. Now, no background check is going to prevent any bad thing from ever happening. Uber drivers have done bad things. Taxi drivers have done bad things. If you Google taxi drivers assault, you will find examples of taxi drivers assaulting people in Winnipeg, in Denver, in Nashville, Atlanta, and London. That's just what comes up on the first page. That doesn't mean that we should ban taxis. It just means that we can't prevent all bad things from happening. I have to say that I was a bit skeptical myself when in December the mayor was confident that we could come up with a way for the TNCs to operate in just a few months. I wasn't sure that we could satisfy my concerns in that period of time. But we've had tremendous work from the task force that we appointed. We've had tremendous work from staff. We've been informed by a lot of public discussion. So I think that, to my surprise, we are ready to start an experiment which does provide for fair competition. And again, I do think of it as an experiment. I think that government should occasionally move ahead and do something that it's not sure is going to work, while reserving the right to modify it. We shouldn't take the attitude that whenever we adopt new rules, those are rules that exist forever.
No.
Heck, we adopted a tree code not that long ago, and I had conversations with Commissioner Fritz recently about the fact that some of the rules in the tree code probably need to be changed. They aren't cast in stone. It could be that at the end of 120 days, we will conclude that these temporary rules should not be cast in stone. So again, I very much appreciate the work of the task force. I very much appreciate the testimony of everybody, pro and con this experiment who testified. I think that, as the mayor said, we've done something unique in Portland. We didn't roll over when Uber came to town illegally. We fought back, and then we insisted that they follow a long line of regulations before they're allowed to operate. And what I'm especially proud of is that we are insisting that TNCs meet a standard of service for people with disabilities. So I recognize that people have a lot of concerns. People have a lot of concerns about any kind of change in anything. And Commissioner Fish has talked about how people who've made investments in the current model might feel disadvantaged by a change to the model. Well, unfortunately, whenever government changes any type of regulation, then there will be some people who feel unfairly treated. It usually happens the other way, that you adopt new regulations that apply to people in the future that didn't apply to people in the past. And the people, for example, who cut down their trees before the tree code was in vogue, they sort of have an advantage over people who, now that the tree code is in place, can't cut down their trees. There's always going to be some sort of time inequity. But we are doing our level best here to ensure a level playing field. I think that we've succeeded. We will see how this goes over the next few months, and I vote aye.